his wrist. And then half a year later, I got another situation, and I was pleasing the group and doing what they wanted, and I had to hurry, and that's when I broke this wrist. This happened in 1.5 years.
Yeah.
So I realized, Annika, you have to do what you want and not what other people want from you, or you do to please them. So that's for me, it's really a big lesson.
It is, and you know, I've been on the spiritual path for 42 years now, and I've seen that in spiritual movements, you find two kinds of people. You find more, but there are two main groups that stand out, and that are the kind of people like you're talking about, who are not aggressive and who think we have to please everybody. We have to be kind and loving to everybody. And then there's another group of people that are they're not really overtly aggressive, but they are very sure that they are right. And that they have a right to tell other people, and it's their duty to tell other people how to live their lives. And I have to say that in I won't say my teaching, but in this teaching, and when I come to conferences, the aggressive people, there are very few of them, and they have become fewer and fewer over the years. And it's more and more the non-aggressive people pleasers that come. You know, and I don't mean that in any negative way. I mean, I was that way myself, and so I think I attracted the more aggressive people for a time because I needed to learn how to deal with them. I needed to learn to stand my own ground and draw my limits and say, no, I've had enough of this.
Yeah, you have to say no.
Yeah.
I do not want that. I want this.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
What happened to me?
I also learned by pleasing other people too much, I abandoned myself.
Well, that's the other
It's like
thing.
I'm not loyal towards my own life mission or why I'm here, or I'm losing myself.
Yeah.
And
So-
it has to do with loving yourself, not enough.
I can be so empathic for others, but if it comes to me,
Yeah, and that's very common for this group of people that I'm talking about. And it's a very delicate thing, really, because when you think about it, you have the spiritual path where we have teaching about the ego. You have to overcome the ego, you have to overcome selfishness. And that's true, we have to do that. But many times we have somehow, maybe in past lives, maybe as a result of the Christian ideals, you know, of serving everybody selflessly, or even the Buddhic ideals, we have gotten into this point where we think it's almost like we are reactionary. We are going around with a sign, how can I help you? And we are willing, but see, and the real thing is, we are willing to completely change ourselves in order to help somebody else. And that means we are basically neglecting, who am I? What do I really want in life? For many, many years, after I found the spiritual path, I was very focused on this, how can I serve? And this very much ties in with the whole concept of your divine plan, because we can be so focused on what can I do? And I realized at one point, this was back in the 1990s, where I was in the Summer Lighthouse, and we had these teachings about an upcoming disaster and potentially a nuclear war, and we had to give all these decrees for hours and hours and hours, and the concept was we were saving the world for Saint Germain. And we had to sacrifice ourselves to give all these decrees. And I did this, and there came a point where I suddenly realized, but this has now become an excuse for me not to look at my own psychology. So that was the one thing. And so that's when I started going into therapy and looking much more at my psychology. But it was only within the last few years that I started realizing that the other aspect of it was that I was so focused on what I could do, including for the masters and getting all the books out, I was actually neglecting myself. And I was not taking care of myself. Because But then I realized, okay, but what's then the psychology behind this? And it really didn't get resolved until we were in Estonia for this conference in December and got these dictations from Jesus about the primal self. And I realized that, when I first came into embodiment on this planet and had this trauma, cosmic birth trauma, I basically decided that there's nothing I want on this planet. There's absolutely nothing I want to experience for my personal sake. I'm only here because I'm hoping to make a positive difference. So it doesn't matter with me, it's just how can I make a difference and get out of here. and so in a way it's a self-denial, because
I recognize that.
Yes.
yeah, you're saying to yourself, basically you're saying, I don't want to define who I am on this planet, because I can't be myself, so I don't want to be anything else, so I just want to serve, I just want to help other people. In other words, I want to have someone from the outside define who I am and what I should do.
It's like not taking responsibility.
Yeah, for yourself. And so, just a second. So what I realized eventually was that, first of all, I realized I had gotten into this state of mind where I felt I was here to change something and make a positive change on it. That was the only reason I was here. I wasn't here for my own enjoyment or anything. I was here to make a change. But then I became aware that I was constantly frustrated because I felt I wasn't doing enough, or I wasn't doing what I could be doing or should be doing. It didn't have any effect. And then I realized that, why doesn't it have any effect? Well, because what is it that I think needs to change on this planet? Well, it's all the bad things that are going on. And why are these things going on? It's because other people are making the choices to do these things. So how can I make a positive difference? Only by changing other people. But wait a minute, there's a self over here that thinks it has to change other people. But I have now come to the realization that free will reigns supreme. And I don't have the authority to change other people's free will. And by the way, I don't have to. It's not my responsibility, it's their responsibility. But I still had the frustration because I had this self pulling on it. And so I finally had to look at that and say, now wait a minute. If I recognize free will, that free will must be allowed to outplay itself, what sense does it make that I think I'm here to make a difference that involves and depends on the choices of other people? How can I, on the one hand, say I'm a spiritual person, I'm on the path to Christhood, but I'm letting my life depend on the choices of other people? What sense does that make? Self-mastery must be that my life depends only on the choices I make. And so I have to let go of this idea that I have to change other people. It's nonsense. And so I had to come to that, and I had to just let go of that, and it was such a relief to let go of this and realize there is nothing I have to do on this planet, and I especially don't have to change other people. But then what came to me was, well, how could I actually make a positive difference on this planet? Well, I could by being myself, as I was when I came, the innocence, the being that I really am, by expressing that, by daring to express that. But I can't be myself if I have this self I had created as a result of my birth trauma that always thinks I have to change other people. And in order to change other people, I have to adapt myself to them all the time. So I can't express who I really am because I have to consider, what does this person need? What do they want to hear? How should I be in order to change that person? Well, it just gets you into this artificial state of mind, where it gets you nowhere. So I realized the only thing I can do is be who I am and get back to this innocence, connect to my individuality and my own presence, and dare to express that. And it might make a difference, but if it doesn't, it'll make a difference to me, and I will get out of here. Because as long as I think that I can't get out of here until war is removed from the planet, it could be a while before I get out. You know, and so I just had to let go. That was like a whole conglomerate of selves that I had to let die. You know. So,
It's a bit
just a minute, August.
I just wanted to comment about this black and white approach of pleasing people or being nasty to people. That I have very many human relations to solve and to communicate with people, and what I discovered that there is a third way. Of course, we all know that there is a third way, but it really works. So if you don't need to please people, if for example you have a company, you have many people working with you, and then you need to communicate to them, and there are coming tensions, etc. And instead of trying to keep, kind of nice face and pleasing people and saying something bad, you go directly to the matter, and you talk very openly, sincerely, and what happens after that talk? Really, most of the cases, the situations go much better than pleasing them. So I would say 95–98% of the cases will go up, not down, if you are direct in the good manner. I mean, not nasty, not pleasing, but you directly talk sincerely about what's the problem. But it means you need to have some inner freedom, not to go too emotional on that. Even I just had to fire one person week ago, and everybody hates these kind of discussions when they take a nice person, hey, hi, I will fire you, I don't need you anymore, okay? But it is possible to do this process in a way that honors both sides and you still live in kind of at least neutral mood.
Yeah, and I've discovered something similar, and I think the key is just to be open and honest about it. Because sometimes when I can look back at my life and I can see that I don't consider myself a dishonest person because I never lied to anybody in order to cheat them. But I have, throughout my life, said a lot of white lies in order to avoid hurting other people as I thought they would be hurt. And there's many more times where I haven't said something because I was afraid it would hurt them. And so that's also a sense of dishonesty. But if you're just, and part of it for me at least was that this is partly a cultural thing in Denmark. In Denmark, you don't like somebody trying to force you. I always joke that that's why Danes make lousy soldiers, because they can't follow orders. You can say, how would you like to go shoot that guy? And he might do it. But if you say, shoot, he's going to say, why? Why do you want me to do this? Yeah, so, but anyway, so I don't want to be forced, and that means I don't want to force anybody else. So it gets you into this, like, you can't really be yourself, you can't really be relaxed. And then if people sense a tension in you, they get tense, and then the whole discussion just is already there, so it started on a bad footing. So I realized that if I'm just open and honest and I don't have any intentions, but that means I can't have that idea that other people should change or how they should change. I can just be myself and share what I feel and let them make their choices. Yeah.
The latest book of Lady Master Nada, the 6th grade, is about compensatory behavior. And it goes far in past lives, in the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Because you have to do a lot of degrees, you have to do, but there's a psychology behind this.
Yeah. Yeah. You think we have to compensate for
Yes.
all kinds of things, and many times I think we even anticipate what might happen, and we're trying to compensate even though there is no physical reason to compensate. I think it also becomes, I think that's a part of the mind that also wants to compensate all the time.
Yes, about obsessive compulsory disorder.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You just talked about getting out of here, Kim. I was wondering, And maybe the point has not come yet, but a question maybe to you, but all of us, what are we gonna do when you get out of here?
Yeah. That's what you will have to decide. When that day comes, which I don't know.
But should we really be addicted to him?
That's what we gotta be confronted with, I guess.
But that's true. You could be if you use me that way.
Yeah.
And that's why, because I've seen this in other spiritual movements, I've tried very hard not to set myself up as some authority that's telling people what to do. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to start an organization, because I see the pattern. And I know very well that you attract the kind of people who want it, and then it becomes a self-reinforcing spiral. And so far I haven't worked out how to overcome that.
if we set up him in this way, then actually you can look in the different way that he will leave when for us is time. He will leave.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, you can look in this way. I don't want to say that it's exactly in this way, but
Yeah. Depending on how long it takes
Yeah,
to be ready.
it's really like the world ends if somebody leaves. No, it doesn't end.
Because I'm not saying beyond 2048. But no, but it is. I mean, you can even see it in the Bible with Jesus' disciples. What they're going to do, and they were in total shock because they didn't think he was going to leave. Most of them.
So that's why our organization doesn't have a name.
That's why our organization isn't an organization.
Yeah. Because on the internet, like I talked to some people and they say, well, I'm following this name. I'm following this name.
Yeah.
What are you following? I've got no name. And then the question became, is it intentional by the masters that there is no name how we can call ourselves?
I would say it is, because they haven't given us that. They haven't given us any name, and I think it's for a variety of reasons, but if you look at what they're saying more and more, including last year, there were several dictations given by Jesus that are now in the book Overcoming Your Spiritual Traumas, about Christhood. But the other masters have said the same thing over the years, that they don't want us to withdraw from society and create our own little commune or live in a cave in the Himalayas. They want us to be out there among other people. And Jesus he made a really stunning remark at the end of the last, I think it was the last dictation he gave in Estonia, where he said that in this day and age, the challenge was to express your Christhood in everyday life by living a relatively normal life and expressing your Christhood. And then he said that was the mastery he didn't have 2000, which I thought was really, it really hit me. And so that shows you the progression. And so what they want for us is to be in everyday life and express our Christhood. And how can we do that if we define ourselves as being a member of a group that's set apart? No, it's almost a contradiction there. It's almost like once you define yourself as having a certain identity in a certain group that's clearly set apart from other people, how can you be out there and...
Yeah, and it's also with the other people. So I said, okay, I'm going to a conference. What conference? What are you following? I've got no answer. It's just a spiritual conference.
Well, you can.
What is the name?
you can always talk about the past, and the inner past, the mystical past, the higher consciousness of Christhood, or however you want to
And
express it.
other people want to define you, and okay, they see that you are following some. What kind of religion is this? They want to put you in a little box.
Yeah, and that's the ego that wants control. It wants to smack a label on you, because then it feels it at least has you under control.
I just don't get them to your answer.
Yeah. So, and I think that's partly what. But I don't think the masters are doing this for other people's sake as much as for our sake, so that we don't get into this trap of defining ourselves as being separated from other people. I think it's, you know, it's not that that I want to judge anything or say there's anything wrong with it, but I just think there's time for everything. And in the Aquarian age, I think the barrier between spirituality and everyday life needs to be broken down.